Intermediate 10, functions. This is going to deal with function notation, what a function is, and trig functions, which is a good topic, the old trig functions. So here's an example of a relationship. Any relationship can be thought of as a function. We got days of the week as the first column and the meals as the second. So you can think of this as inputs and outputs. You input a Monday, and what do you get? Turkey meatloaf. Input a Tuesday, you get grilled cheese and pickles. It sounds disgusting. Input a Friday, you get barbecue chicken. So we could call this the domain, what you put in, and the function, we could call this column what you get out. It's just an example. Here's another example. It's not an actual problem, I'm just going to talk about it. A group of 5 friends purchased tickets for a Chicago White Sox game at the U.S. Cellular Field. Ronan's seat is in section 124, row 5, seat 1. Omar's seat is in section 124, row 5, seat 2. James is in the same section, row 5, seat 3. Jack is in the same section, row 5, seat 4, and Andrew is in the same section, same row, seat 5. The relationship between the attendees and the range represents 5 ordered pairs. So the people, we could say, like for example, Ronan, he's in seat 1. Omar is in seat 2. James is in seat 3. And then Jack, of course it starts with the same letter as James, is in seat 4. And Andrew is in seat 5. Those are ordered pairs. Lots of times when you're given information, this is not one of those times honestly, you would write the information in ordered pairs, and it's going to help you work out the problem better. On a singing reality show, one of the 7 singers in the contest is assigned a text message number. Yada yada yada. So what this means is for each singer would be the domain, and the range would be the phone number. So every singer has a name, everyone has a phone number, and the ordered pairs. Alright, so let's do a real example. Mathematical relationships. It's not a real example, it's just more explaining, I guess. So this shows the relationship between x and y. Any number that you put, any number that you put in for x, to get the y value, you have to square x, multiply it by itself, and then subtract 6, for example. So you put a 1 in. That's going to be 1 squared minus 6, which is going to be negative 5. Put a 2 in, it's going to be 2 squared, which is 4, minus 6, which is negative 2. So you put in a negative 3. It's going to be 9 minus 6, it's going to be 3. This describes the relationship between those two things, x and y. If we were to graph this, if you've had Algebra 2, you should know how to graph this, or maybe you haven't got to it yet. It depends on when you're taking this class. But the y-intercept is a negative 6. It's a parabola that opens up. So the graph looks something like this. Not a real problem, just showing you this different relationships. Here, f of x equals x cubed minus 4. That graph is going to look something like this. It's like 2 parts of a parabola. One part opens up, one part opens down. So whatever we put in for x, the y value has to be x cubed minus 4. Put a 0 in, 0 cubed minus 4 is negative 4. Put a 1 in, 1 cubed minus 4 is 1 minus 4, which is negative 3. Put a 2 in, 2 cubed is 8, 8 minus 4 is 4. A function shows the relationship between two different things. And here's that graph to scale. Y equals x cubed minus 4. vertex being right around there. All right, let's do some evaluations of different functions. If f of x is negative x squared plus 5, what is f of negative 2? This just means that we take this negative 2 and we plug it in for all the x values into this problem. So we have f of negative 2 equals negative 2 squared plus 5. It's important when you substitute into a function that you use parentheses. You've got to follow order of operations, which is to square this first. Negative 2 squared is 4. Then apply the negative that's on the outside. So that's a negative 4 minus 5, which is negative 9. Common mistake that people make for this problem is they say negative negative is positive. Well, that's not true. It's true in certain contexts, not in this context. Order of operations, you do parentheses first, which is a negative 2, nothing to do there. Then you do exponents, which is going to be the squared. Number 2, similar problem. We are supposed to substitute a negative 2 into this problem. When you substitute, use parentheses. You will make a lot less mistakes if you use parentheses. A negative 2 squared is 4, plus a minus 2 is a minus 2. Minus 4 minus 2 is a minus 6. Minus 6 plus 3 is a minus 3. All right, number 3. We got two different functions, and it wants to know the value of f of g of negative 1. Let's just do one thing at a time. Let's figure out what g of negative 1 is first. That's negative 1 squared minus 3, which is 1 minus 3, which is negative 2. So if g of negative 1 is negative 2, now we're going to plug in this negative 2 in for f. It's negative 4 minus 7, which is negative 11. Dunsies. Example 4. What is f of 4? So we got f of 4 equals, use parentheses when you substitute, four squared is 16 minus 4. If you recall from an earlier lesson, anything to the 0 power, with the exception of 0, is 0. Pardon me, is 1. Not 0, it's 1. 2 times 16 is 32. Minus 4 and a minus 1 is a minus 5. That makes this 27. Number 5, just another example. We're supposed to put a negative 2 in for x. When you substitute, use, that's right, parentheses. So a negative 2 cubed means a negative 2 times itself again. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. You're multiplying three negative numbers, negative 2 and negative 2 and negative 2, so it's a negative 8. A negative 2 squared is positive 4. Subtracting a negative 2 is the same as plus 4. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. 4 plus 4 is 8. That makes this negative 16. So I made a mistake someplace because that's not one of the answers. Let's see if we can find this. Oh, I see what it is. I changed a minus negative 2 to a 4, which is ridiculous. Should just be a 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. Negative 24 plus 6 is negative 18, which is one of the answers. Exciting times. Number 6. Putting in a half. Oh, bother. When you substitute, use parentheses. When you square a fraction, you square the top and you square the bottom both. So that means this is going to be a negative 1 to the 5th is 1. 2 to the 5th is 32 minus 1 cubed is 1, 2 cubed is 8, plus a half. Need common denominators to add these together. 8 times 4 is 32. 2 times 16 is 32. So we get negative 1 minus 4 plus 16. When you're adding or subtracting fractions, you add or subtract the top numbers. So it's negative 5 plus 16. That's 11. Bottom number stays the same. We got 11 30-seconds. Done.